Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Again, as I come before you again, I want to talk about subject today about overcoming difficult situations. How do we deal with adversity in our lives? So as we walk into our destiny, we experience setback and difficult situations. We often face obstacles. Our attitude determines whether it's temporary or permanent adversity. So in essence, our attitude has a lot, how we approach a situation really determine how long we be in a situation or whether we overcome a situation. It looks like whenever we do something to set out to accomplish something, the enemy always shows up and try to throw a setback in our lives. If we go on a diet, my favorite, I can taste my favorite unhealthy food. If I go on a fast, I can smell my favorite food, and it is not even in the house. If I'm getting a relationship, an ex would typically call and say, give me another chance. Putting the past behind, here's something to remind of that we need to overcome setbacks to reach our destiny. Whether your weight, emotions, finances, relationship, or whatever, things can be going on in your life, we can have a setback. Today in Mark chapter 5, verse 21 through 34, we're going to talk about old lady that gave us a template on how to come setback in our lives, on how to deal with difficult situations. In this text, she experienced 12 years of a nonstop urinary or menstrual bleeding problem. So they're not sure whether she had a menstrual problem for 12 years or what, but it was nonstop bleeding. And she tried everything she can to solve the problem. And in fact, we're going to talk in more detail about what she actually done. So join me right now as I read Mark 5, verses 21 through 31 from the New Living Translation. They said, verse 21, now when Jesus had crossed over again by boat to the other side, a great multitude gathered to him, and he was by the sea. Verse 22, and behold, one of the rulers of the synagogue came, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at Jesus' feet. Verse 23, and begged him earnestly, saying, my little daughter lies at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her, and that she may be healed, and she will live. So in essence, as we look at those verses, Jesus crossed the Sea of Galilee, and he comes to another town. And as he approached that town, a guy from the synagogue he was a Jewish leader, and typically Jewish leader did not like Jesus, or would they not talk to Jesus. But in this case, this guy decided to break all rules and talk to Jesus because his daughter was sick. And in essence, Jesus come, headed one way. This guy said, hey, will you beg Jesus when you come to my house and see my daughter and heal my daughter? So he took Jesus off his path, which is okay if you're the old lady with a 12-year-old menstrual cycle, you're okay with that, because eventually he took Jesus off that path, directly down her path. And so Jesus can see her. Verse 24 get interesting. So Jesus went with him, and with a great multitude followed him and thronged him. That means a lot of people around Jesus. Jesus was like a rock star. So everywhere Jesus go, there was a crowd of people. So imagine your favorite celebrity, or your favorite football player, or your favorite basketball player, or your favorite someone you admire. And everywhere they go, it's just people all around them. Interesting. So they bumping up against Jesus. Jesus can't move. They're in front of Jesus. They're behind Jesus. But then verse 25 talks about now a certain woman who had a flow of blood for 12 years. So let's talk about this woman issue. So she had a flow of blood for 12 years. So Leviticus 15, verses 25 through 31 talks about that in the Old Testament law, which she was under, talks about that if she have a menstrual cycle or bleeding, that she must be separated from the house, from family, from friends, from everyone for at least 7 days. Also, if she touched anything or anyone touched her, they would consider unclean. In essence, she was unclean because she was going through a cycle. They consider that when you're bleeding, that you're unclean. And so you shouldn't touch anything shouldn't touch you. So you have to be separated from your family, your kids, your husband, anything that touches you. So you can imagine, so for a week, she was isolated. But look at it, look at the story. For 12 years, she was isolated, couldn't touch anything, couldn't be around anything. And so she was separated from everyone. And she had a need that she was unclean, according to biblical Levitical standards, and she needed to be cleaned. It kind of reminds us of our lives that many times that people, when we see people that look dirty, or people look nasty, or people don't look good, or people not, we tend to say unclean, don't want to be around them. But watch the story where she knows that she should stay isolated, but yet she needs to find somebody to clean her up. And then verse 26, and has suffered many things. The woman has suffered many things from many physicians. She has spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. So like us, she first instinct was she would go see doctors. She spent all her money from one doctor to another, and nothing could heal her. There comes some times in life that even though we rely on our parents, our friends, and our family to help us out, there will be some things in our life that they can't heal. Whether it be a sickness, whether it be a financial problem, whether it be emotional problem, depression problem, or physical problem, it comes a time that we need a spiritual healing more than we need a physical healing or a relational healing or a tangible healing. And so family and friends can do so much, and we thank God for family and friends, but it gets to a point that eventually, after you go to everybody, and no one can do anything. And she went to everyone, and she no longer had any more money, no resources. So she didn't even have the resources to go see another doctor. She saw counts from many people, spent all she had trying to get an answer. Issue got worse, little hope went to no hope. There is something men can't change. She tried man, but it didn't work. She tried woman, but it didn't work. She tried mama, but it didn't work. There will be times our family and friends can't bail us out. So no matter how much money we have, there is things that money just can't do. You can have the terrible health, terminal ill cancer. You can have terminal ill, another ailment of your life, or your limbs, or whatever. You can have all the money in the world, but money can't solve it. But she came with an idea, this lady. She said, when she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. So they went from hearing about Jesus to she want to follow Jesus. For she said, if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. Immediately, the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus immediately, knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around the crowd and said, who touched me? But the disciples said to him, you see the multitude thronging you, and you say, who touched me? And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. So we look at this story, this lady, she basically took things in her own hand. She touched Jesus. She had enough faith to touch Jesus, and she was healed. But what can we learn from this lady who had an issue for 12 years? Let's self-reflect. First thing we can understand is adversity in our lives is given that adversity gonna come, much like death and taxes, they're gonna come. Adversity gonna happen in your life. There will be difficult times in your situation. The key is how do we approach those situations, and how do we approach how long we stay in that situation. So whether it's a marriage, whether it's a breakup, whether it's financial, whatever, there will be difficult situations that eventually we will have to overcome. That's rule number one we learn. Two, the lady humbled herself and asked for help. Oftentimes we can learn from this lady is that when we got a problem, we don't like to ask for help. Some of us like to try to do it ourselves. We don't try to be humble and admit that we need help. But Bible says that if you're humble, Jesus would exalt you. The Bible also says that when you're humble, understand that Jesus will raise you up to a level that you've never been risen before. Humility is important. So if you need help, if you understand you don't have it, it's okay to say, I'm wrong. It's not about being right. It's about getting it right. The old lady could have said, listen, I'm just going to lay in my sorrow. I tried everything I could do, but no, she said, I'm going to get it right. And she kept trying to get it right till she got it right. And she got it right through Jesus by doing that. Another thing we can learn, number 3, we can learn from this lady, she was persistent. She kept hammering away at it. She kept trying and kept praying. No matter what her problem was, she was persistent and determined. She was persistent that she was going to solve her problem. Many of us in our lives, we're stuck. A problem came our way and we're stuck. We're just stuck in that situation, or we stopped. It was an obstacle in our way and we were headed, but we stopped because instead of dealing with the obstacle, we have to stop and retreat and go back where we were, or we just gave up. This old lady didn't give up. She kept, no matter what situation, what difficulty, you chisel away at it, you work at it, we work at it, we work at it till we get rid of it. Have you stopped? Or are you stuck? If many of you had desires, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to be that. And then one problem came and we stopped dreaming and we stopped moving. Also, she was determined. She was very determined. She had a made up mind that she's going to overcome this. See, it could come to life. You got to have a made up mind that you're going to be great. You have a made up mind that you're not going to be, you're not going to be a victim. You have to be a made up mind that I'm not going to let excuses stop me. You got to have a made up mind that you, whatever happened in life, that you determine that you're going to win. This lady had a made up mind. A made up mind that I'm going to follow Jesus, a made up mind that I'm going to pursue Jesus, even though she shouldn't mean, technically she shouldn't have touched Jesus. She said, a made up mind, I'm going to be healed. We have a made up mind that we're going to be an overcomer. We have a made up mind that we're going to be great. We got to have a made up mind that we're not going to let laziness stop us. We're going to have a made up mind that we're not going to let procrastination stop us. We got to have a made up mind that we don't let excuses stop us. We got to have a made up mind that whatever we need in life, that we're going to do it. And our mind is made up and no one can stop us. And lady had a made up mind. Next thing she realized in this story, that this lady said, I need Jesus. I tried the doctors. I try everyone. I talk to family and friends. I'll try everyone that they couldn't do anything about it. That I heard about a man named Jesus that healed. I didn't know him, she said, but I heard about him, what he had done. And so many of our lives, we've seen the power of Jesus work in others, but we have not seen the power of Jesus work in us. So this is an opportunity when a problem comes in our lives, Jesus said, bring it my way, because he guarantee you that he can solve it. Whatever the problem, Jesus is the answer. So she was determined that she needed Jesus. And oftentimes we try everything else and we do everything else, including me. And instead we break down that we should go to Jesus. We try our hearts, our relationship first, with our friend, with our family, with everyone else. And we talk to everyone else about our problem. And we go to everybody else instead of going to Jesus. Number 6, she broke protocol. In other words, she got out of the routine. Protocol saying, by protocol, Levitical law, by the rules, you should not go anywhere when you're unclean. You shouldn't touch anyone. You should be isolated when you're unclean. See, man will want to control you when you got a problem, say, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that, you do that. Then later say, I'm going to break the routine. I'm going to break protocol, whatever it takes to get healed, I'm going to heal. And I'm going to get healed. Forget how you define me, man, that I'm going to be this, that I'm going to be that I'm going to be that I'm not going to be great, that I came from poverty, that I came from a broken family, that I came from a relationship. I'm going to break the generation curse. I'm going to break protocol. I'm going to get out of the norm, because by nature, we are a creature of normality. We do things routine over and over again. If I look at your life, pretty much you're a routine person. This is what I do today. This is what I do today. Your life pretty much routine. This lady said, I'm not going to be routine. I'm going to break protocol because I got to go get what belongs to me. Is how bad do we want it? Do you want it enough to break the protocol of your life where you get up and do the same thing every day over and over again, where you talk to the same people over and over again and you get the same results over and over again? Or you want to break protocol and say, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to change the world, not going to know who I am. I'm going to be different this time. I'm going to do something great. I'm going to stretch myself. I'm going to show them and show myself that I am worthy of everything God has for me. Number 7, she pursued Jesus. So oftentimes in life, we see Jesus from afar and we believe that Jesus died for us, but we're not truly pursuing Jesus. In this case, this old lady say, I'm going to pursue Jesus because I know the answer to solving my problem is the pursuit of Jesus. I can sit back and do what my friends do, but when it comes to my problem, when I got a problem, I need to chase him. I need to pursue it. I need to be on him. But I need to pursue him before I have a problem. So the old lady learned from this story that now that I know him, I'm always going to pursue him. And she pursued Jesus. She went from hearing about Jesus to following Jesus. Because first she said she heard Jesus was coming. And then she said, I got to go and pursue Jesus. So oftentimes we are at the stage where we hear about what Jesus can do for us, but we not become a follower. When we become a follower of Jesus, then we riding with Jesus and Jesus, your road dog, and Jesus with you everywhere you go. When you become a follower of Jesus, and Jesus said, I'll take you places that you've never been before. I'll open doors that you've never seen before. If you follow me and not just believe me. No, interesting. She made contact. So it's interesting that she touched Jesus. But if you remember the story, Jesus was a rock star. Everybody was touching Jesus. Everyone was touching Jesus. Everybody, because Jesus was around many thousands of people. He was bumping against 1,000 people. But she said, if I can touch him, she made contact. And when she made touch, Jesus said, who touched me? And everyone looked at Jesus and said, a lot of people touched me. But she knew her touch was different. That power came from Jesus. So she made contact. Let's make it plain. So a lot of people can call you and you can ghost a lot of people. A lot of people can text you, but someone that you interested in, someone that touches you, you answer the phone because she made contact. She made intimacy, or he made intimacy with you. So you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of calls during the day. You get a lot of texts during the day. You get a lot of what? But those people that touches you, you answer and you respond. So she made contact with him. She created a sense of intimacy with him. A lot of guys can talk to you, a lot of girls can talk to you, but there's one person that can make contact with you, and that is different. In her case, she was different. Her touch was different because she touched an area that Jesus could relate to, because she understood, because Jesus felt her faith, because Jesus felt that her touch was different. So we have to ask the question, are we making contact with Jesus? See, everyone's praying, but it's your prayers getting through, or is my prayer getting through? Because everybody's praying, but some people are making contact with Jesus, and they make contact with Jesus by coming in agreement with what Jesus is all about and what Jesus is all want to do. And the only way you do that between a follower of Jesus, when you're a follower of Jesus, Jesus said, you become my friend. Now I'm going to talk to you. And now because you on my friend list, I'm going to answer that phone and answer your prayer. Yes, I died for everyone, Jesus said. Yes, I did. I died for the whole entire world. Yes, everyone can be saved. But certain people can make contact with me. And when those people make contact with me, that's when miracles happen. She got Jesus' attention. Her chase and pursuit of Jesus got Jesus' attention. Her chase and pursuit that she broke protocol, broke the law, should have stayed home, but had enough faith to trust Jesus to go, risk getting put in jail, risk being scorned, risk touching a lot of people, but it got Jesus' attention because her pursuit with Jesus was like no other. And because of that, verse number we can learn from this is she was healed and clean. Now she can live a maximized life. So here we go. Watch this. This is a person unclean by biblical law. If she touched Jesus, Jesus should be unclean. She touched Jesus. Jesus did not become unclean. Jesus cleaned her up by the touch. So here's a person, here's a God that you can come any way you want to, no matter what you did, how bad you are, how bad the situation. Jesus said, bring your mess to me and I can clean it up. Bring your mess to me and I can clean up. Bring your frustration to me, I can clean it up. Bring your problems to me, I can clean it up. Bring the difficult situation that man cannot answer, I can clean up. Bring your most terrifying moment that you don't share with nobody else, I can clean up. Let's make contact, let's make intimate, I can clean up. Number 11, other things we can learn from this lady is she confessed. She confessed and let Jesus know, I was the one. I was the one that touched you. She confessed, say, hey, I was unclean. Yes, I touched you. Yes, I was a sinner. Yes, I reached out to you. I am that one. I am not ashamed. I am confessed. You know everything I do anyway. So Jesus, I come before you, like you said, 1 John 1:9, those who confess, those confess those sins before you, Lord, your favor and just forgive. So right now, God, we know Jesus said, just confessed. Confessed Confess that I haven't been the best person. Confess that I haven't given you all, Jesus. Confess that I have not put forth the effort. Confess that I have not lived my life to the image you called me to be. Confess that I have made bad decisions that I look at through my eyes but not spiritual. Let's just confess it all. Jesus said, just bring it to me. Confess it. I already know it. Let wait this flight clean and let me work with you. And let me clean this mess up that we all have in us. Next one, and second to the last, is she didn't give up. She didn't quit. No matter what her obstacle was in life, she didn't give up. She didn't quit. She kept pursuing. She kept going. She didn't procrastinate. She didn't wait. She didn't say, I'll get to it next month. She didn't say, I'll ignore the problem. She just say, I'll just live with the problem. She said, I'm determined to maximize my life, and I'm not going to let my life be in bondage because I can't go deal with community, with society, because I'm unclean. She said, Daddy, I'm not living in bondage. I'm not living in a bad marriage. I'm not living in a bad relationship. I'm not living with bad attitude. I'm not living in a bad friend. I'm not living in a bad job. I'm not living in a bad situation. I am not going to live in a hostile area. Or I'm not going to live in a hostile workplace. I'm not going to live in a hostile relationship. I'm not going to live with people that have no energy. She is saying, I am not giving up until I get everything that God has for me. And God has for me a maximized life. And I'm going to live my life to the fullest. And the only way I do that is I got to go through and clean it up. I got to go through and give it to Jesus. I got to pursue Jesus. I got to do all that stuff. And while Jesus speak to me, while he opened doors to me, I realize now that I cannot do it on my own. Because last one that she learned, more important for all of us, she required a spiritual fix. No matter what we go through in life, there's come a time that we need a spiritual fix. And she required a spiritual fix. Some problems just cannot be done without getting a spiritual fix. So as we close today, you got to look at your area. If you struggle in your area, things are not going right in your area. If you're not moving to the place where you age and you think you should be more than where you are. If you're stuck in a bad situation, if you're frustrated, obstacles in your way, and you can't define where you want to go, it is not because there is a physical problem. There may be a spiritual fix you need. So with that spiritual fix is that I got to go back and reset. And all of got to go reset and say, if I'm struggling with my health, if I'm struggling with that, Father, clean me up. Father, tell me what I need to do. Father, show me what I need to do. Father, if I need a miracle, God, give it to me right now, because I realize I need to be made whole, because the things I'm struggling with, the reason I'm not success is not external. It may be internal fix that I need done within me. So right now, Father, fix me. So I leave you with this, and as I close, if you have not looked for a spiritual fix to solve your problem, and you have not chased Jesus, and you have not been closer, have a close relationship with Jesus, and you have not looked at following the Father, following Jesus, if you have not done everything this old lady done to get her healing and to get out of her difficult situation, perhaps now is the time for each and every one of us to go back and self-examine ourselves and look at that. Look at our situation and see, can we do anything about it? I'll leave you with this poem by Chuck Swindoll called Attitude, and then I'm out of here and let you get back to your day. The longer that it's called Attitude, Chuck Swindoll. The longer I live, the more I realize the importance of choosing the right attitude in life. Attitude is more important than facts. It's more important than your past. More important than your education or your financial situation, more important than your circumstances, your success or your failures, more important than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than your appearance, your giftedness, or your skills. It will make or break a company. It will cause a church to soar or sink. It will make the difference between a happy home or a miserable home. You have a choice each day regarding the attitude you will embrace. Life is like a violin. You can focus on the broken strings that dangle, or you can play your life's melody on the one that remains. You cannot change the years that have passed, nor can you change the daily tick of the clock. You cannot change the pace or your march toward your death. You cannot change the decision or reactions of other people. and you certainly cannot change the inevitable. Those are strings that dangle. What you can do is play on the one string that remains, your attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 9% how I react to it. The same is true for you. By Charles Swindoll. Go in peace. Amen.